we're going to serve you some of the things we're going to demonstrate, but we've already prepared them. And on your handout, the first page, and by the way, these are recipes being used in the immersion program here at Village Church. And the very first one is Cyndi's zucchini burgers, and the large batch is first. Then further down is the Cyndi's zucchini burger small batch. You may not want 40 to 45 burgers at a time. And I can understand that, but in the immersion program, we like 40 to 45 at a time. And they freeze perfectly, wonderfully. And so we're going to demonstrate that tonight. And the fresh green pea soup is very easy, and we're going to give you a taste sample of that as well. And so we're going to demonstrate that. It's so easy. And let me see if I can turn this page. On the second page, the African peanut soup is a real hit in all the immersions we do across the country. The gentlemen say, I love that soup. I went home and made it. I'm impressed with how many men will make soup because they like this recipe so much. But there's a disclaimer. If you have a nut allergy, especially a peanut allergy, this is a peanut soup. It has chunky, crunchy peanuts in it. So be aware that you do not want to eat the soup with the tomato in it, the red soup. But you can have the green soup because it has cashew. The special magic about African peanut soup, besides the peanuts, is the chicken-like seasoning. You can get by using McKay's, but if you really want it special, like the original person wanted it, you will want to make the chicken-like seasoning that's on the bottom of that page. And the person is Mary Bernt. How many of you know Mary Bernt? Mary Bernt is the lady who had the vegetarian restaurant in South Dakota, and she mentored David Asherick, and who is now a well-known speaker. This is Mary on her cookbook cover. I love Veggies. Her restaurant is called Veggies. It was originally in South Dakota. Then when Dr. Nedley went to Weimar, she purchased his place down in Ardmore and moved her restaurant there. She still has a restaurant. This is her other cookbook, and she may have more, The Best of Veggies and Company. And so that recipe is adapted from Mary Bernt, and we want to give recognition to Mary because it is a fabulous recipe. Then on the next page, Nut Sandies is by Diane Springer, the head deaconess in this church, and I'm not sure what all else she does, but I know she probably wears 10 hats or more. And so Diane is the author of Nut Sandies, and I can let her talk to that more if she'd like.
I didn't get a mic.
Oh, I'll give you my mic. And let me just say that we're also giving you a little salad tonight, only because we want you to taste the two dressings. There's one that's more white, that is the sesame tahini, and there's one that is not as white in color, and that's the lemon Italian. And so when we had a restaurant in Virginia, people would come in and we'd say, do you want lemon Italian dressing or do you want sesame tahini dressing? And this one gentleman said, just give me the house dressing. I looked at my husband, who was warming up 7-grain burgers next to me. I said, he wants the house dressing. We don't have a house dressing. He said, squirt both of them. And so we did. We squirted one, and then we squirted the other, and we gave it to him. And later we said, we better taste that. We tasted it and we loved it. And he loved it. And so we had house dressing now, but we don't mix them ahead of time. We make one and we make the other, and we keep them separate until we serve. And then we have them together.
I just wanted to make a comment.
Are you on?
It shows I wanted to make a comment on the nut sandies. It's actually my take on a recipe in the Guilt-Free Gourmet by Vicki Griffin. She has in her cookbook, she has some varieties, and this is my take on it.
Do you want to say anything about this part?
Oh, on your recipe, there's several varieties of this cookie that you can make. The one that you're having tonight is the maple variety of it. And so you use walnut meal as the nut meal. You use maple syrup as a sweetener and maple flavoring for the flavoring. Another variation that we really like is almond. And you use almond flour in place, or almond meal instead of the walnut meal, and almond flavoring instead of the maple flavoring. It doesn't really make a lot of difference whether you use the maple syrup or the honey, or you can use agave. Any of those work. Now, can you hear me? Also, you can use pecan meal, is very nice, and that pairs with the maple syrup, very nice also. So there's many varieties. I've not tried anything but the 3 of them. So if you want to try any other nuts, feel free to experiment.
Great. Any questions at this point? Do you have your food? You do. Okay. All right. What we want to do is demonstrate the very easy soup. And so we have a Vitamix here, and Diane is going to lead out here.
I guess I need the mic. You can tell what I'm doing.
I'm going to hold this.
As you can see, the first step is to boil your water. My water's not quite boiling, it's just hot, but it'll still work. And you don't have to, it says to cook your peas, but you don't have to, they just have to be kind of thawed. So if you run warm water over them, it'll still work. So the first step is to put part of the water into the Vitamix or your blender. Any high-powered blender will work. Do about half of it. And then we're going to add the cashews, 3/4 cup of cashews. And I had 4 cups of water because I didn't cook my peas first. So you have to compensate for that other cup of water.
Did you do something to your nuts?
Oh, yes, that's very important. With the cashews, you want to rinse them very well first. And now I'm just going to make some noise. So you just want to blend your cashews in the water until they're creamy. And then your next step is to put your peas in. And that's 10 ounces or 2 cups of peas. And then I have the 2 teaspoons of salt and the 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and that goes in. The rest of the water. Actually, I'm going to keep a little bit of the water, and I'll put it in now because I'm not going to do it. But you want to hold out about 1 cup of the water to rinse out the Vitamix after you're done. So you get all the good stuff in your soup. And then you blend again. And if you do have a Vitamix, you don't have to put it back on the stove to warm it up. You just let it run longer and it will actually heat the soup up and it's ready to serve.
Great. Did you enjoy it? Did you have a taste sample?
So is that easy enough for everyone to do? It doesn't take very long at all, and it is really good soup. I really like it.
I want you to do that demo again now the lights are on. We're going to do another one that's really easy. And like I said, we're doing the small batch instead of the large batch. And we didn't want to take all the time because we know you want to hear what the doctor has to say. And so the zucchini recipe, I want to give credit where credit is due. And Mary Bernt is to be credited with that African peanut soup. Did you enjoy the African peanut soup? Yes. It's just so good. She puts in her chicken style seasoning some pizza seasoning, and I think she buys hers, and I do too, from Frontier Herbs. And it has a little fennel in it. And that's a little special, having the fennel. Now, in the zucchini burger, we don't use 1 drop of water. Did you enjoy your zucchini burger? Oh, and I forgot to tell you, we put a hint of onion on your burger, but we put it in such a way you could take it off if you didn't care for onion, raw onion. But the burger itself has onion milk. We just blend onion, and that makes the water for the entire recipe. You see on the large batch, you blend 4 onions. We're only going to blend 1. We've cleaned the onion, and ideally you would cut it into smaller pieces, and we kind of cut it, but I wanted you to see it's a whole onion. So we have it here, and we're going to blend. And we may have to plunge, or there's a better word for that. We may have to help it get started. And so we have our little handy dandy helper. So we want to make onion milk. Now, it's much easier in the blender with the small bottom. You're familiar with that? I think I lost my sound. The blender with the small base works much better than this one for doing 1 onion. But for doing 4 onions, this base is just fine. Did I do something to my sound? Does anyone know? It's still green. Okay, all right, so we've got some onion started here, and it's liquid enough that we can now add our cashews. We have a half cup, and we've already rinsed them with boiling water to take any soil off, not soil, any impurities. Okay. And at the same time, we're going to put in nutritional yeast. It calls for chicken style seasoning. In this case, I'm using McKay's, but because I have made Mary Bernt's chicken style seasoning that has the special fennel and other things, I love it. And so I use it in here too, but not tonight. And some onion powder, no, salt. And so we're going to blend this. And I want to say about Mary Bernt's chicken style seasoning, you can use it to make your scrambled tofu, and it's really delicious. And it makes making the scrambled tofu very easy because that's the only thing you put in it. You don't put onion, you don't put pepper, you just put some seasoning. Now, we want it to be a little creamier than that, so I want to take this out and put this back in and let it do it. I did bring.
Oh, you brought your spatula.
Don't go anywhere without your tools. You can tell when you probably need to stop blending because as the blender throws the ingredients up on the side of the blender, if you look at that carefully, you can tell if it's still throwing up pieces of nut. If it's throwing up pure cream, then you're done. And this is throwing up pure cream on the sides. And so I wish I could show you this. It's just super creamy. It's onion milk cashew onion milk.
The first time I made this recipe, I thought, there has to be water in it. It can't just be onion juice. But the first time I made it, I said, that's really amazing. That is, the onion liquefies enough to put enough liquid in this recipe.
And what do you know about onion? They're extremely therapeutic. If you're going to get a cold, when I was a kid, even the neighbors knew, and I didn't know anything about health, but everybody knew you go find the hottest onion you could find, slice it, and eat an onion sandwich, and it'll help. And it does. It's very therapeutic. We have already ground this, grated our zucchini. I took 2 zucchini, very medium size, to make the amount that we need for here. And we have pre-cooked our brown rice. If you have brown rice left over, it's perfect. And if you don't, then next time you cook rice, cook extra and put it in the freezer. Measure it and put it in the freezer. Then when you want to do this, you can do it. And then we have quick oats already measured here. We're going to combine our rice and our oats. And we're going to chop it up a little bit. And then we're going to add, which do you do first, the onion milk or the zucchini?
I do the zucchini first. I find it's much easier to incorporate the shredded zucchini in evenly into the rice and the oats before I put the liquid in. And another thing I was going to mention is some people have an intolerance to rice or don't like rice. Millet works just as well. It's a nice alternative to the rice.
And millet is such an excellent grain, and we don't use it near enough because the excellency of millet is that it leaves an alkaline ash after metabolism in our body, whereas most of the grains leave an acid ash. And so we need to incorporate millet more if we can. And we've given our health guests recipes for having millet for breakfast and then cook extra, so you have leftovers on purpose, so you can make millet pudding. It is absolutely delicious and easy. Go ahead, Diane.
And I was going to say, as Sally had mentioned, you can put the rice in the freezer and save it. Millet will freeze just as well. So if you cook your millet for breakfast and you don't eat it all, just stick it in the freezer and you can use it in your zucchini burgers.
And now, what do you think of when you think of millet? Who eats millet? The birds. That's the bird seed you've put out for your birds here in Michigan. They know what's good. All right. So now we have our onion milk, cashew onion milk, and we're going to stir. Now there's one thing we have learned, haven't we, Diane? We're going to stir with a spoon, but in the kitchen, when you're doing the 4 onion batch, you just stir with your gloved hands. It's too hard to do with a spoon.
When you're working in the kitchen with this kind of stuff, gloves are very much your friend.
And now, this is so nice because what happens in the summertime when you plant your garden? How many of you plant zucchini? You do. Do you ever have more than you need? Well, we have the solution. You have in your hand a recipe that is so yummy, and if you would just take a picture of it and text it to your friends, or even better, go pick your zucchini and put several in a bag. You're going to give them to your friends who probably grew zucchini too, and they're going to go, I don't need any more. But take a copy of this, a written copy of the recipe, and put it in the bag with the zucchini and say, you're going to be amazed at what this tastes like. Or take them a burger, put a burger in the bag with the zucchini. So this is mixed up now, and it's got a nice consistency. It's kind of wet, but we like it that way. We want it to be nice and wet because it's going to bake. All right, here's where, the first time I saw this recipe, Diane, oh, by the way, Cyndi's zucchini burger recipe, Cyndi Leffler. How many here know Cyndi Leffler? Her dad used to pastor in this very area, no, Grand Rapids. But anyway, this is Cyndi's recipe. It is the most fabulous recipe. And Cyndi and Diane demonstrated this, shaping the burgers together. Have you seen these things? Oh, I wish I would have brought some other ones. At Walmart, they sell these little things called Eggo. And they have a little egg sticking up, and it's a silicone ring. And what it is it's an egg shape, an egg form. And you put it in your skillet, because it's silicone, and you break your egg into it, and it makes a perfectly round fried egg. Well, I don't eat eggs anymore, so what do I do with my egg form? I make burgers. And so this one is a nice size, and we use it to make a burger that's large enough to fit on a sandwich thin, because sandwich thins are fairly good size. And so we have found a number of these. Diane has found some too. And these are smaller. See how much smaller this one is? And so this one is excellent for making unsausage patties that taste like sausage, but are 100% plant-based. All the things we use in our immersion are 100% plant-based. So when I saw Diane and Cyndi make burgers, one of them had this ice cream scoop. What do you do with an ice cream scoop if you're not eating ice cream anymore because you don't want cholesterol? Use it to make your burgers. Go ahead, Diane.
The first time I used this making burgers, I thought, because I did it before with a measuring cup, and it's not as easy. But if you use your ice cream scoop, Sally will show you, you just take the amount you need and just squeeze it like you would be taking the ice cream scoop out, and you've got a perfect portion.
And with a gloved hand, you can press it in And then with your clean hand, you can lift that up, move it. Your clean hand can then go get some more batter, put it in here, shape it. You're not shaping with the fingertip. Your fingertip would go down in and make holes. You're shaping with the flat of your hand. And it's so fast and easy. And then every burger is perfect, absolutely perfect. And so we just wanted to share that with you because these burgers freeze beautifully. And you do not have to put anything between them. You don't have to put wax paper or anything. Just make sure you have baked them thoroughly and then let them cool and then stack them and put them in a Ziploc bag and they'll come apart so easily. So the first zucchini burger I ever ate, Cyndi Leffler served to me, and it was out of the freezer, a year old. It was so delicious. I cannot believe how good it was. And they keep beautifully. She had double bagged so that they wouldn't freezer burn.
Mm-hmm. I was just going to make one more suggestion. If you don't have one of these and you want to go home and make zucchini burgers tomorrow, and you don't have time to go to the store and get that, a wide mouth canning lid will work as well. But you know, it's got that little lip on it, so it's not quite as smooth as these. These are actually, you would find them in a houseware section of any of the grocery store, or not grocery stores, but I got this one at Bed Bath & Beyond, which we don't have anymore, but they're for making, actually for making hamburgers. So any place that you could look for that, this is where you're going to find them.
So that's what we wanted to share with you tonight, to show you that it can be easy. And if you are living in the fast lane, you have to get up and go to work every day. Weekends, the only time you have any free time, you're going to have to set aside a little bit of time. Make a lot of burgers. Make waffles. Make things that you can put in the freezer and pull out and have breakfast every morning, breakfast like a king. And then all your lunch, you can just pull it out of the freezer. We just want to encourage you to take time when you have time to make wholesome plant-based food to get you through the day. Because the Lord is good to provide us so many things, and we've been amazed at how many things we can enjoy right from the garden. And you don't have to make it into a burger. You can eat the zucchini raw or other ways, but we just want to show you some fun ways to do it. Any questions? All right, we're going to vacate.
One in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For your chicken-like seasoning, it says if you wanted to make your own pizza seasoning, it says recipe below.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I took these, I copied these and pasted them for you for tonight, right out of the immersion cookbook. And in the immersion cookbook, we actually give them a recipe for making their very own if they don't want to buy it. And so I'm sorry it's not there, but if you could check with one of us, we can let you shoot a picture out of our cookbook in the back.